And welcome back to another edition of the Bachelorette, Season 14, Episode 8. I'm your host. My name is Brent Baum, and I am not only your favorite contrarian, I'm the only contrarian. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And that's right, we are in hometowns. And I'm going to get, first of all, for this video, before I even tell you what I'm going to talk about, I want you guys to like the video, subscribe, leave your comments below. Tell me any questions that you have for me. I want to answer your questions. You guys subscribe to me. You guys like my video. Help me help you. Help me help you. So anyways, I will be talking first of all about Jason's hometown. Then I will talk about Garrett, then Blake, and then Colton. And then obviously I will get into the former bachelorettes that made the appearance. And then I will talk about one of the final rose ceremonies that occurred for this season. So let's start off actually with Garrett. Talking about Garrett's hometown. He's from Nevada. So Vegas, Nevada, I believe. And you can see that Becca they work so well together. Garrett and Becca. They have a lot of chemistry. He is a guy that's very sure of himself. He's very confident. You can see when Garrett took her out to show Becca his family agricultural business. You can see that Garrett, what Becca really likes about Garrett is the fact that he likes to hunt, he likes to fish, he likes to get dirty. He's really a type of guy who's outdoorsy, and it really resembles her father. And that's very important for Becca. Because, as we know, Becca lost her father at a very early age. So the fact that Garrett resembles her father so much, that's the perfect compliment. A great way for her to remember her father, because Garrett really resembles that. So I did think that on this date, though, I thought it was pretty cheesy, real cheesy. And I thought it was cool. They planted tomatoes. They did some planting, some gardening. But I thought it was cheesy when Garrett said he made a rose bush, and so that he could have many, many roses to give her for life and eternity. And I was like, that's a real cheesy thing. It's a little cheap pop. But hey, Becca liked the gesture. So they get to Garrett's home, and Garrett's got a very lovely family. I think that Garrett's parents weren't particularly hard on Becca. I would have liked them to be a little bit more challenging. I think that's the one aspect that a lot of us really enjoy when it comes to hometowns, the parents' reaction. And they seem to just like Becca overall. They didn't really seem to have any problems, even though Garrett's father said that Garrett's mother is like a mother bear who likes to protect her cubs. And then you can see how dramatic, I couldn't believe it, how dramatic Garrett's sister got over this. She started crying, putting on a show. I guess the producers had us thinking that she was going to tell some big secret or big drama going on, but it wasn't as big as we saw. And overall, Garrett's family seems to like Becca. I think it was a very easy hometown date. And Garrett, he's type of guy that what bothers me a little bit is just how nonchalant he is about his divorce. That divorce virtually broke up his family for a period of time, and the fact that he's just so cool about it, it just tells me that there's not a whole lot of emotions going on with Garrett. How much of an emotional side does he have? Even though I think that Garrett is still the front runner, he doesn't really have that emotional side. Like, he cares. It's like, whatever. I got divorced when I was 23. No big deal. Life moves on. And even when I think Garrett's mom asked him about how do you feel if things don't work out, he said, no big deal. Whatever happens, happens. And this, to me, just doesn't sound hurt losing a relationship. It's good to be positive, but you got to have some feelings about it. And I do think that Becca still may have some reservations because she's not really sure whether or not Garrett is actually over his divorce. And that's definitely a big question mark. Even I think he's over the divorce, just hearing the stories about how much of a lunatic his ex-wife was, and screaming and yelling and trying to break up the family. So anyways, Garrett, he loves Becca. He's told her that before. And I say, as Becca said, Garrett right now is pretty safe choice, and things seem, well, she didn't say safe choice, but definitely she likes the fact that he really fits well for what she's looking for in marriage, being a father, etc. So, transition over to the next hometown date. You had Jason, Buffalo, New York. They went to Jason's home of the very first original buffalo wing. That day I thought was a lot of fun. I love eating. I'm a foodie. I think the wing eating contest was a blast. You can see Jason has that fun side, teasing Becca, putting the wings in her face, trying to rub the wing sauce in her face, the celery sticks, having a good time. And at least Becca did get it right. You don't put ranch on buffalo wings. You put blue cheese on buffalo wings. That's what it's meant for. Now, personally, I don't eat blue cheese, but she got it right. So that was a nice, good hometown date. Then Jason comes home, introduces Becca to his family, and basically, what I like two things. I thought that Jason's mom was pretty accurate, and I think that Jason's brother and his husband were spot on. First of all, when Jason's brother asked Jason, "Hey, are you ready to get engaged?" Jason has some hesitation. He didn't quite answer the question with conviction. And then his brother said, "Well, you got to make a decision right now. You got to say it right now. What's going on? This is the Bachelorette. We don't have time to wait, Jason. You need to decide right now. Are you ready to get engaged? Okay? Just tell her. That's it." And then, but the thing is interesting with his mom said that he doesn't really see that Becca really loves him, and that there's other guys still around. He doesn't see that. She doesn't see that. And I kind of agree with her. I don't think that Becca really loves Jason. The main thing that keeps on getting brought up with Jason that Becca really loves is how good of a kisser he is and how playful he is. You can see when Jason took her out on the ice skating rink, showed him some of his hockey skills. He basically scored a goal on her in order to get a kiss. And Jason's he seems like he's athletic, but Becca, she wants a football guy. I don't think Becca's from Minnesota. That's home of the Minnesota Vikings. Even though Minnesota is for hockey as well, you got the Minnesota Wild, I still think that Becca's more into a football guy, more so. That's why you have your Coltons. You have your Blakes, who are football players. Colton's an NFL player, and I think Blake's extent of football was high school. But the point I'm making is you get the symmetry. That's what I think that Becca's looking for. And I don't know. I just think that it bothers Becca that Jason's so reserved about his feelings. He needs to stop being so reserved. He needs to be upfront, express himself. And I thought it was so funny when Jason was telling Becca that he loves her for the first time. It's like he was saying vows. Like, what was that all about? He was like, he had the whole thing prepared. It was a thesis statement. And I'm thinking to myself, just tell her you love her. I think that when you say "I love you" for the first time, it should be natural. It shouldn't be so made up and orchestrated. But apparently Jason had to make it all orchestrated and tell her that. And I'm with Jason's mom. I just don't think it's reciprocal. I don't see it. Jason's family is pretty easygoing on Becca as well. I'm not saying that all the families need to be like a monster or like monster-in-law or whatever, but I think that they gotta be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more intense at times, or ask the tough questions to Becca to see how serious, because you see other times on the hometowns how intense the fathers and the mothers get, and that's what I was looking for. But we didn't get that out of Jason hometown, but overall I think it was a solid hometown. Next, talking about Blake. Yes, Blake, my absolute favorite. I know you guys know I'm being sarcastic here, but Blake, he had basically took Becca to Colorado, I believe Bailey, Colorado, full snow, pretty cool scenery, beautiful scenery, and Blake just introduced Becca to his high school, and it was like he was a football player. That really shocked. I couldn't believe it. Like, Blake, football player? Blake, really? Football player? So that really caught me off guard, and I was like, wow, okay, it's a little bit athletic, quarterback. But I do think that it was really, really deep story when he told Becca about how his high school was a victim of a high school shooting, and it wasn't even a student. It was just a complete random person came in there, and unfortunately a student was killed, and he just was telling her about how serious things are, how serious things were, and how he takes everything, he doesn't take anything for granted. And that's really a good message, I think, that Blake, at times I'll admit, Blake does. He's a lot more than just, I guess, physical for Becca. He's able to get to that deeper level, and that's important. I think that's absolutely very important to have. But at the same time, the thing that bothers Blake is I truly believe that he cannot be content unless he has a woman in his life. He cannot survive without Becca for at least a week, or even a day for that matter, because he just comes off as very clingy. And during the hometown dates, Becca met Blake's family. Obviously, this is the story. Blake's family is divorced. That hurt him. His mom and his dad are divorced. That hurt him pretty harshly. And you can see Shelly, Blake's mom, basically told Becca that he was heartbroken from the last girl that he brought home. He was having panic attacks. He was crying. He couldn't believe it. He's like, oh, no one will love me again. And just those type of words, that's too much. You can't have those kind of words. When someone says that, that just has a cesspool of red flags. A cesspool of red flags. The fact that Blake feels that no one will love him just because he lost a relationship, to me, I just don't even want to know what's going to happen if Becca turns him down. Let's say he's like the runner-up. What is he going to do? And Becca said that Blake and her had the most solid relationship. She already says that I love him back. It's reciprocal. We're on the same wavelength. I just don't feel comfortable telling him that. Well, not comfortable telling him that. I'm just not allowed to tell him that yet. Even though she could. We all know that. She could tell him that. Why not tell him that? Well, tell me, guys. Don't you guys think that Becca should just tell Blake already that she loves him back? The show will be over. Maybe, but I think that's time. And the thing also with Blake is that the fact that he's always in his feelings, the fact that he's doing the whole Tom Cruise, I need someone to complete me, he doesn't really love himself. And if he doesn't really love himself, he'll never be able to find a long-term relationship. He never will. And even though he may be the front runner, I'm still going with Garrett. I think Garrett's still the front runner. Overall, it was a good hometown date. And as Becca said, she's at the same wavelength as him. He loves how emotional he is. He gets to the deeper stuff. It's not just the physical aspect of it. And they've had the quote-unquote most solid relationship. So, lastly, let's talk about Colton. Oh my gosh, Colton. They went to his hometown, Parker, California, and they went to a children's hospital. They buried some gifts. I thought it was a very nice gesture by Colton. You can see that he cares about kids, and then Becca said I could see that side of him as being someone that will be like that if they have kids together. And throughout, Blake has just, throughout, Colton has spoke about how proud he is to be a virgin, and he doesn't shy away from that. And he has said before that it's not that he's saving himself for marriage, he's just saving his heart. And that he's pretty confident in their relationship. But at the same time, Becca's not exactly sure, because she feels that you should have more experiences in life, relationships, before you settle down for marriage, because that way you can find out what you like and what you don't like in a relationship. So, touche to that, Becca. I agree with that. And I think that this is probably my favorite hometown visit, because because Colton's father is awesome. He looks just like him, and he was very direct. He was asking the hard-hitting journalist questions. He was your Bob Costas. He was your Barbara Walters. He was asking the tough questions. Your Morgan Pierce. He was asking the tough questions, and I love that. It's about time. And the question you ask, Becca, is as much as you address Tia, there's other things you need to address. About, let's say, Ari. That's the big elephant in the room. It's virtually the reason why you are the Bachelorette. So it's time for you to address some things. And he's absolutely right. Becca say, no, he's got a point. And not only that, Colton's father also said that if you don't really love him, if you don't really see him making this to the end, then send him home. It's not right to keep him around. If it still bothers you with the Tia situation, it still bothers you that he's a virgin. And it was so awkward when Becca had that conversation with Colton's mom about the intimate thing. How intimate has Colton been? Like, really? You have this conversation with his mother? Like, come on, it's really not that big of a deal. There's a plethora of guys out there, men, women who are still virgins at the age of 26. That's what Colton's age is. So it's not that big of a deal. I get it's a theme of the show. They were throwing subliminal messages earlier about Virgin Island. They made such a big deal about that, but it's really not that big of a deal. It really isn't. But Becca's making it a big deal, and I get where Becca's coming from. She wants someone who's a little bit more experienced, and so they know what they want. But as a whole, man, I thought Colton's father was great. And even though Becca, she will use it as a scapegoat for the reasons of why things did not work out with Colton, but still, I like what Colton's father said, and it needs to be addressed. And next, I want to talk about Becca's meetup with former bachelorettes from Ari's season, Caroline, Tia, Kendall, Cien, and Becca Martinez. You can see they're having a great time. Girls' day out, sipping on their mimosas. I know I should have a mimosa right now, but I don't have one. And they were having a good time. They're talking about Becca just gave them the rundown, the guys that are still available, that are still left, from Garrett to Jason to Colton and Blake. And she just keeps on reiterating how great of a kisser Jason is, how he's the best kisser. And then how Garrett, she just loves Garrett, and just the smile, how he's always happy. And then Blake, he's very much about the deeper emotional stuff. And then when Colton's name got brought up, Tia's reaction was like, did he really get that far? Did I really let him get away? And you could just see Tia was just so heartbroken. And the fact that I think she was shocked that Becca was able to forgive Colton over the fact that Colton had a relationship with Tia. And it wasn't even really that a relationship. They just hung out, if you will. And you could see right through Tia's face that she just wasn't happy about that. And that smile she had for all the other guys she mentioned, that just went away so swiftly once Colton's name got brought up. She could not believe it. And I gotta admit, you can say a lot of things about Tia, but Tia is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. I forgot how pretty Tia's eyes are, how great she looks. She looks like $1,000,000. And I know it's not about that, but hey, I like Tia. I like the way she looks. Even I've criticized her before about how she treated Becca Martinez and telling Ari on their season how Becca Martinez was not, mature enough for relationship. But you can see Tia eventually, she interjected in the conversation when Becca was talking about Colton. She said, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And then she tells Becca how it hurts her, how she's heartbroken, how sick it makes her that Colton is still around, and that she has feelings for him. Now, people, does Tia really have feelings for Colton? Do you guys buy that? Let me know in the comments below. Does Tia really care about Colton? Or is she just jealous of the fact that Becca has him and that Becca kept him around for this long? It goes by the old adage of no woman wants a man that another woman does not already want. The fact that another woman, that being Becca, wants Colton, now he's that much more desirable. Now, granted, Colton's a good-looking guy, but now he's that much more desirable. And you could see when Becca heard Tia say that, she dropped the explicitive and said, why didn't you tell me this earlier? I wish you would have told me. I'm glad you told me, but I don't want this to break up a friendship. And then, oh my gosh, Tia just kept on saying, I know, but it just makes me sick, and I just wanted you to know. So, like I said, I like Tia, but at the same time, she just needs to mind her own business. You just need to let Becca make a decision, and then if Colton's around afterward, then go after Colton. So basically, Tia just ruined it for Colton. It's virtually over. So frustrated me, but like I said, Colton. Like I said, Tia looks great. I don't care what you guys say, but let me know what you guys think. Does Tia really care about Colton? So, anyways, next we get to the rose ceremony where Colton comes up to Chris Harrison and tells Chris Harrison, "Oh, well, I know what the fantasy suite going on. I know what the nature of the fantasy suite, but how intimate do I need to be?" Like, come on, man. You don't need to have this conversation with Chris Harrison. Like Chris Harrison said, "Well, Colton, you could just be as intimate as you like to be. Anything that you guys decide, it's up to you guys." Now, how many times does he do this? But he's right. Chris Harrison's right. It's your decision. Whatever happens in the fantasy suite stays in the fantasy suite. Well, not always. Andy, anyone? Not always, but for the most part, it's up to you to decide. There's no cameras. It's up to you to decide what happens in the fantasy suite. And the fact that he has that much trepidation about the fantasy suite, maybe that's a sign. So, anyways, to do the rose ceremony, she picks, first Blake, then Jason. Then it came down to Garrett and Colton, and she picks Garrett. It's no surprise here. I thought that Colton was going to go home. Everybody saw it. Colton does not get the rose. She just says, "Oh, typical, hey Colton, can I walk you out?" They talk about it. And it's so obvious that Becca, she not only led Colton on to think they had something, but she just used Colton's father as a scapegoat. She didn't verbally say that, but that's a scapegoat. The virgin thing, the father saying these things, she should have sent him home a long time ago. Even Becca said earlier she was thinking about sending Colton home the moment that she found out about Tia, but she did not. She should have sent him home episodes ago once she found that out, because she was going to keep thinking about the fact that Tia had a relationship. It's always going to be this love triangle: Tia, Colton, and Becca. So Becca should have said, "Go home." That's it. But she did not. So sends Colton home, and I don't care what you guys said. Tell me what you guys actually think. Did Becca lead Colton on? Because personally, I think she did. She absolutely did. Even after he said, "Oh, I'm a virgin," she still kept him around. Because it was that big of a deal breaker, she would have sent him home. Obviously, it wasn't that big of a deal breaker. She kept kissing him. She kept leading him on and saying everything is okay. But obviously, it was not. So now, 3 guys left: Jason, Blake, and Garrett. They're going to Thailand. And we're going to see what happens. All 3 guys. Do you guys think all 3 guys are going to go in the fantasy suite? Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Any questions you have for me. And remember, I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.